This is another Grizzlies Spotlight powered by Amtrak. I'm Sam Levitt. Jumping on the program with us this week is Gateway hitting coach Zach Borowiak in his second year with Gateway as the hitting coach. How's your season so far?
Oh, it's been wonderful. The guys are really starting to buy in and respond, and it's as you can see, it's just fun to watch. It's fun to be around, and hopefully we can keep it rolling.
You're in charge of the Gateway offense. This team leads the league in home runs right now, towards the top of the league in runs scored, middle of the pack in batting average. What have you liked and disliked about the offensive approach?
Well, first of all, is just the adjustments the guys are making as a whole, collectively, is really impressive to watch. I know we struggled early. We still are leading the league in strikeouts as a team, which you don't like to see, but that's starting to get a little bit better, and guys are starting to buy into their approach. Guys are starting to make adjustments quicker and on the fly, and that's what's been the most impressive thing, I think, and that's what it's all about. Who can make the adjustments the quickest? That's what the better players do. So these guys are working hard, and we're just getting after it, and it's, like I said, it's fun to watch and be a part of right now.
Gateway hitting coach Zach Borowiak jumping on this week's Grizzlies Spotlight. Before we talk any more about the team, I want to talk about you as a player. You were a heck of a player, spent a number of years in the Boston Red Sox organization, made it all the way to AAA. What was your playing career like?
Oh, it was great. I have no regrets. Just fell a little short. I think my last year was 2009 when I got released in the offseason, and it was time to move on. But no, I saw a lot of great places, met a lot of great people, and played with a lot of great players and under some great managers. And that's where I feel like I've learned a lot, and I've learned a lot through my failures. And that's what I kind of talk to these guys about a little bit, and I think that's what's kind of helps me a little bit relate with these guys. I've been there, done that, and it kind of helps me be on the same page with them.
Speaking of great players and great managers, I'm sure you played with a number of major leaguers. Who was the best player that you ever played with?
That's tough. I'm going to probably have to go with Dustin Pedroia. In 2004, he was drafted in 2004. He was the Red Sox first pick, and he came straight to low A where I was, and we played up the middle together. He was at shortstop at the time, and I was playing second. But first game, I remember he came to Asheville. Right after the draft, he joined the team. I was playing short every day, and our manager called me and was like, "Hey, I think you saw who we drafted. You might start having to get some reps at second base." And I was like, "Oh yeah, all right, that's fine." So he shows up first night. I sit the bench. I'm not in the lineup. Pedroia's playing short. And he's just whack, doubles off the wall. And I'm like, I might never sniff the field again, But it worked out. And I think he'd probably, I've played with a lot of great players. David Murphy, he was my roommate back in 2003. Papelbon, guys like that. They were all in my draft class. But played with several great players, and I think he's probably, the top guy.
Papelbon, Pedroia, not a bad group of guys. How do you think going through those experiences in affiliated ball helps you now as a coach?
Yeah, well, like I said earlier, I think all the failures, I was very inconsistent offensively. My numbers weren't all that good offensively. I was more of a guy who could play 3 or 4 different positions and more of a glove guy, I guess. But offensively, I feel like I did learn a lot through my failures, and I played. I had a lot of great hitting coaches. I had some not so good hitting coaches, I thought, and I took away a little bit from each of those, and you kind of piece it together and take what works for you. And as far as we got such a good group here and a lot of different personalities, and you just kind of. Everybody's different, and they all have their own style, their own approach, and you kind of just feed off that and work with what you got in that aspect. So, no, these guys respond very well, and they're easy to work with. So, it makes our job a lot easier.
Speaking of this team, as of now, you guys have the best record in the Frontier League. You've been around here for a couple of years. What sticks out to you about this group of guys?
Well, I just think from top to bottom, collectively, a guy like Wing, his numbers are, he's at a 330, 340 clip. I think that's probably should be a lot better of how he's hitting the ball. He's hitting the ball, hard every time, and his at-bats have been great. But as far as top to bottom, nothing pops out at you. Everyone is just having solid at-bats. Putting the ball in play, like I said, we're starting to take a little more pride and shorten it up with 2 strikes and putting the ball in play. And whoever we plug in there on that night, it's kind of a different guy every night getting it done, and that's what it takes to have a championship team.
I'll finish on this. Phil Warren, the manager in his 8th year here with Gateway. You two played together back in your college days. I know, a bit of a long time ago,
right,
at Southeast Missouri State. Could you have ever imagined that a decade later you'd be coaching together in the Frontier League?
Honestly, no. No, I could have never imagined. I played with Phil for 1 year and then 1 summer. He was a senior when I was a freshman down at SEMO. But when I was gone, I was done with college, gone playing ball with the Sox. You kind of lose touch with some of your good friends for a while. Everyone's kind of off doing their own thing, and Phil was over here. And I always kind of kept track of the Grizzlies and how Phil's doing and everything. But I never in a million years I thought we'd be coaching together. But it's kind of cool, and it made such an easy transition. After I was done playing to come here, and Phil's done a lot for me, and I appreciate it. But he's a joy to work with.
You and Phil reconnected, and you have a heck of a team here in 2014. Gateway hitting coach Zach Borowiak hopping on this week's Grizzlies Spotlight, powered by Amtrak. As always, Coach, thanks so much.
Thank you.
For Zach Borowiak, I'm Sam Levitt on this week's Grizzlies Spotlight. We'll see you next week.